Hello everyone and welcome back to another aerodynamics video. Today we'll be going over how to use the Infinity Manager with your T-38. So, the Infinity Manager is used to update your aircraft, even install some liveries, and also to set up some configurations. Let's go ahead and check that out now. When you first get the aircraft, you'll have to log in and then install the aircraft. Once the aircraft is done installing, we can go ahead and check out all of our options. One of the tabs that you can see is liveries, where we can download additional liveries for the aircraft if we want them. Today, let's just take out the default. Our next tab is configuration. Most people are used to this for DTC and exporting our flight plans to our jets. This is the new improved way of doing this for our aircraft. We'll come back to this in a second. For now, let's hit back and then go to TACLink at the top. TACLink is the tool that we use to utilize our air-to-air TACAN inside the T-38. Last but not least, we have the Settings tab. Here you're able to view your account, change your display name, reset your password, as well as change some of the system settings, such as your install directory if your community folder is in a different location. Our Updates tab is to verify that the manager itself is up to date, which it looks like we're running the latest version. Alright, let's go into the T-38 configuration tool. So here we have a whole bunch of different things. We have flight plans, destinations, zones, approaches, communications, defaults, declutter, weapons, and controls. So I already have a lot of stuff loaded in here, so let's go ahead and check what I have. When it comes to flight plans, we can have up to 10 flight plans. Each flight plan may consist of up to 15 waypoints. Currently, in this data card, I have the Shepherd Air Force Base low-level routes, as well as routings to get to different MOAs. My low-level routes I put in the back end of my flight plans. And I went ahead and left 3 blank in case I want to use that for later. To add waypoints to a flight plan, you'll go ahead and type in any airport or any of our AKO waypoints. Add another waypoint. We can go to Austin, and that'll create a waypoint all the way to Austin. If for some reason I'm setting a specific point, such as a destination point where it's not a traditional nav aid, I can actually go to my destination page. Let's say I want to fly via VFR sectional over, let's make it more specific. Let's find a satellite point that we want to fly over. This looks interesting. Let's go and fly over this. So what I can do here is I'll add a new destination, and we're going to set this one for this spot and call it destination 400. Elevation is not super important, but what I could do is utilize my VFR tools and see that the elevation is roughly around 750 feet. And now we have destination number 400. If I wanted to add the destination to my flight plan, I'll go back to flight plan 3, add a waypoint, type in destination, and I can find my 400 waypoint. It should be at the very bottom here. To reorder my waypoints, I'll just use these little function buttons here, and now I'm going from SPS to our waypoint to Austin. To clear a flight plan, I could just exit all of the waypoints to have a blank flight plan. Declare destinations, I can do the same thing. I'll just go down to the bottom, find 400, and click delete. And there we go, the destination is cleared. For zones, I can use this tab to mark training areas or no-fly zones. As you can see, I've already marked a few different areas here. I've marked the MOAs in green and some other restricted areas in red. To do this, all I have to do is type in the name of the MOA. Let's say I want to use the Laughlin MOA, Laughlin 1. Now, we have the Laughlin 1 MOA marked. I could change the color of this to any of the colors, and these colors will also be represented inside of the aircraft. If I wanted to make a no-fly zone more of a circular depiction, I can also do that. I could set the zone for wherever I want, so I'm going to set this right in the center of Laughlin. You can make it red, and I can change the radius. Now I have a big no-fly zone, and this will also show up on my MFD. That can also be given a name so that when I'm inside the jet, it's easily recognizable. There we go. I have DLF in there. Approaches is where we can load our pre-planned approaches. Traditionally, these are good for loading up quick ILS or VOR approaches, but you can also type in a manual approach and give specific information for your runway, glide slope, initial, and final approach fixes. Here we have an example of an SCA approach for runway 15 right into Shepherd. This is a self-contained approach, meaning it's not pulled off of nav aids. If you wanted to add another approach, we can do so by typing our AKO. We'll do 3-3 left. Maybe this one will be an ILS, pull from the database, and stored aircraft. Now we have approach 501 stored. For communications, this is setting our default VHF and UHF communication presets. We're able to change these to whatever we want. Every time we load up the jet, it's going to load these presets. This is easy for switching from clearance to ground to tower to departure using presets instead of manually typing in the frequencies. Aircraft defaults are what you're going to see when you spawn the aircraft, such as transponder code, your bingo fuel state, and of course your altitude alerts. Navigational defaults can be your air-to-ground TACAN, your air-to-air TACAN, VOR frequencies, and ILS frequency. You can also set your heading bug and course needles. At the very top, we can change our alignment for our IGI. We'll keep it on stored for now. For our declutter options, this gives us the ability to change what shows and what hides when we press our declutter button on our MFD and on our HUD. I went ahead and put everything to hide, but you can set it up how you want. On our weapons page is how we set up our weapons profiles. If we wanted to set this up differently at the jet, we also have the ability to do that. And last but not least is controls. Some functions of the T-38 require custom controls such as trigger, weapon release, and nose wheel steering. By default, nose wheel steering is turned on inside the aircraft, but it's always turned on. Having it set here in our control manager allows us to actuate nose wheel steering, pressing, and holding. On release of the nose wheel steering button, nose steering will disengage. Other controls are also modeled inside of this aircraft as well. Some features partially work and others fully work. When we have the configuration the way we like it, we can save the configuration to anywhere we like on our desktop. We can even share it with our friends. Once your friend has it, all they have to do is load the configuration and it'll load inside of their Infinity Manager. Note, if you're not inside the sim and hit Send to Aircraft, you'll realize that it's not going to work. We need to do this from the sim, so let's go ahead and load that up real quick. Okay, now that we're in the sim, we can load up our configuration. This is as easy as going down to our MFD, going to Menu, DTS, and notice it says No Cassette. This means that we've never sent it to the aircraft before. What we have to do is open up our manager and then hit Send to Aircraft. Configuration has been sent successfully. From here, we go to Load to MDP, and we can just go quick and load it all. Flash successful. Now, we can go and exit this and go back to the main page. From here, we are able to see all of our loaded flight plans. We can also see all of our loaded destinations. And we can also see all of our data that loaded up here, such as our altitude warnings, IFF codes, and our communication presets. Well, now that you've successfully loaded your configurations to the T-38, you can take to the skies. In the next video, we'll go into an in-depth navigation tutorial with the T-38.